Welcome everyone to the Mangalorian. Today we have made it to volume 34 of the Dragon Ball manga. As the story continues, we've been gone for a couple weeks. Jordan had to deal with some stuff. Then I had to deal with some stuff, mostly my internet being on the fritz, but that's been fixed. We're back. We're ready to roll. We last left off with the fight with Goku and Cell. In this volume, the battle will conclude and we'll have Goku tagging out to the real secret weapon that Goku had up his sleeve, his son Gohan. So we'll be talking all about that and more today. Yes, Jordan, I really love your outfit. I love it. Can you see what this is?
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Birdland Press. This is the
I'm
only
a little jelly of that, man. I'm a little jelly.
It's the only shirt that this is a one of a kind. It was given to me by somebody who I knew a few years ago. It's the only version of this shirt, and I had it, and I was like, why not rock that on the Mangalorian? Since this whole thing's about what was Toriyama's original vision, like what was going on, like what was the man thinking? And we'll be talking all about that today. Now, we already got a super chat. I'm going to address it here. It's a little bit off topic, but we'll get to it here. Sleep says, I just started the Kid Buu fight. Jordan and I will get there eventually. We're not there just yet. And in my opinion, the manga most definitely had better story, but I feel the anime has better fights. Well, the story and the fights are the same. It's just that the anime adds more to it. So you're going to get better fights in the anime because, first of all, they're moving pictures. That's the first thing. And second of all, usually, and again, it doesn't apply for every fight, they pad out the fights to fit the episode time. That's why I think that even manga purists should watch the anime just to get a flavor for it. What do you think?
I think he might be referring to the pacing.
I agree with that. He's right about that.
And I do like the manga's pacing. I mean, we've talked about that plenty on here about how the manga has great pacing. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed the manga so much. That's great.
No, and here's the thing too, man. Here's the thing. After doing the Mangalorian with you, I have garnered a new appreciation. Like I've read the manga before we did this, but it wasn't until kind of coming on here and really breaking it down with someone else, because it is a different feeling. I love Goku versus Frieza in the manga. Like I've always felt like the manga version was better because the Z anime version drags and drags, even though I like the actual combat part. But man, after this reading, it's like it really cemented it.
So Shenron is in the other room. I was actually cleaning because my wife's not home. I'm by myself for the next 3 days. I've got the house all to myself, and I just forgot to put him back up on my desk. But he's in the other room.
Wait a minute. Buy one, get one. What? I'm sorry. I looked at one of my emails there. I was like, hold on, buy one, get one. No, I'm messing around. All right. So, yeah, your Shenron is great. Let's go ahead and get into it. This is a lot of people's favorite part of the story. A lot of it probably has to do with the anime and how beautiful this fight is in the anime. Studio Cockpit definitely deserves. Look at this guy, bro. He was going to propose to you, Jordan, until he found this out. He was ready. He bought the ring and everything, bro. Clips bought the ring and everything, man. But now it's over.
I've been with the same woman for almost 20 years, guys. I know that's wild to think about, but here we are.
Especially somebody who's a musician, bro. Y'all can't keep the same woman for 20 minutes, much less fucking 20 years.
Yeah, I got a wife and 2 kids, guys.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all knew that, but it's true. Chapter 398, Son Goku at full power. So in the previous chapter, we had Goku testing himself against Cell. Here we have Goku and Cell both agreeing to go max power. Now, I do love that throughout this tournament, Mr. Satan has no idea what the hell's going on. He chalks everything out to it being, you know, a trick. Toriku. But I want to go into this panel first and foremost. These two panels.
He thinks it's wrestling, bro. He thinks it's professional wrestling.
Yeah. He's really coping with himself. And I love how in the Boo arc, and we're gonna get to it, Mr. Satan finally realizes that it's real when he was like, this feels like I've always thought this was a dream, but no, it's a horrible reality. Like there's a lot. That's one thing about the Boo arc that I love is that there's a lot of character arcs that get closed, but we'll get there. So Goku and Cell. Now remember, Cell has the cells of Vegeta, Goku, Frieza, King Cold, Piccolo, and because of that, he has Goku in him. Pause. He also has Vegeta and Frieza and kind of the egotistical, narcissistic traits, but he's also got the competitive traits of Goku. That's why these two guys are so similar. That's why I think Cell, Frieza's my favorite villain, but Cell is a very close second because he's interesting. So Goku.
You know what I like about Cell in comparison to Frieza is that I know Frieza is kind of meant to parallel Goku in a lot of different ways, but I actually think he does a better job paralleling Vegeta because his attitude and like the way that he's went about doing things is very similar to how Vegeta and the Saiyans went about doing things. Whereas like here, Cell is much more of like a martial arts kind of themed character. So he kind of parallels Goku more in that sense than Frieza did. And I think that's really interesting because Frieza had a lot more common with Vegeta than he did with Goku. But here, Cell is trying to achieve perfection, and that's very similar to Goku constantly trying to get stronger. And I think that's what makes this really interesting.
But I like the complexity of Cell because here, while we see Cell's, we saw Cell's, you know, egotistical traits, and we're going to see him again soon. Just this right here. He's even stronger than I thought. If I let my guard down just once, he'll kill me. Goku says that. And then Cell says, Son Goku, you truly are an impressive fighter. You have something special that the others don't. And like for Cell to put somebody else over, that means he's not really Cell, but he is Cell. And that's the complexity of Cell's character. I think what Toriyama was doing with Cell that a lot of people miss is that every time that Cell speaks or does something, it's a parallel of another character, but it changes. So I'm using random numbers. On page 10, Cell might be like Frieza. On page 12, he might do something Goku-like. On page 15, and I think that's not only is that genius of Toriyama to do, but it's also kind of fun to write a character like that. Like if I were Toriyama, I'd be having a great time just showing the different sides of his personality.
Yeah. And I think that building up to his perfect form was also a way that Toriyama implemented that change in personality. I mean, clearly, but it's once he gets his perfect form and he no longer is like, you know, primarily worried about absorbing the androids, his attitude changes a lot. And you can see that particularly against Goku here.
So. He becomes more like Goku.
Yeah.
Because he feels like he's ready. Yeah. I love here how Trunks points out the look in his eyes has changed. Like, I like that. That's Goku's now getting ready to really throw down. He powers up. This scene is epic in the anime, mirroring the Head Chala intro animation. And now we're seeing Goku power up from full power Super Saiyan. Because remember, the way that full power Super Saiyan works, and I did an entire transformation guide on this, is you're in the Super Saiyan state naturally, and you learn to control yourself in that state without any combat. And then when you get into a fight, that's when you trigger the power, when you sort of bring the power to the forefront. And that's what Goku did. So he powers up, and it's notable that Vegeta notices, and so does Trunks. And it's one of those things where incredible, Goku has no equal. Like they realize, like, holy shit, like this is what Goku's been doing the whole time. It's
Yeah.
almost like they realize they've been doing it wrong, which they have.
Yeah.
Now, I love this part. Gohan's like, why is everyone surprised? Of course, Dad's doing well. That's because you were in there and you know what he can do. The others don't know. But
Yeah.
Gohan also knows that Goku's got more in there.
Well, it also, I think, is a reflection of Gohan's confidence in his father in comparison to the other characters, especially here in a little bit, because, you know, a lot of people's faith in Goku is challenged in this arc. So, you know.
Yes, coming up. That is coming up. Yeah. So Cell powers up himself, and he powers up to being about as equal as Goku. Everyone else reacts. Now, he's about as equal to Goku as you can get, but this is not Cell's full power. Now, we don't know that yet. Toriyama has not revealed Cell's true full power just yet. But if you're reading this for the first time and you don't know what's coming, or if you were in Japan when this was coming out, you don't know. You assume this is just Cell's maximum strength. So I love the aura coming off of them. They stare each other down, like just classic big fight feel. Goku with the first shot, the classic uppercut. We have talked in the past about the great Goku uppercuts. The one he hit on Frieza, that's the one that actually damaged him to where he couldn't compete. Goku is the king of the uppercut to the breadbasket, elbow to the back of the head, kick up. Goku is now taking control of the fight, knocks Cell back. Cell is fine. Well done. This is how a fight should be. It's no fun if you're not well matched. Yeah? Same goes for me. This fight between Cell and Goku is the most Goku-like that Cell has ever been. In fact, even later when he fights Gohan, he's still not as Goku-like as he is here. Cell is almost matching Goku's energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Next chapter, 399, showdown at the highest level. We're moving through this faster than I thought. That was a short chapter, though. So they don't know what's going on. They can't see it, obviously. Goku and Cell are going at it. Cell is about to power up a Kamehameha. Now, obviously, like we talked about, in the anime version, there's a lot more to this fight. We can't really discuss it here. Whenever we get there on the Saturday streams, we'll get into it. But Cell's going for a Kamehameha with a lot of ki. And what Goku does to protect the planet is he decides to fly up. That way, Cell will change trajectories and fire the Kamehameha from down to up to save the planet. And it is a big Kamehameha. Now, keep in mind, this isn't even full power Cell.
And this is this, by the way, a lot of people don't catch on to this, but this is actually like Goku. So when Goku put his gi on right before heading out to fight Cell, one of the things that he said is that he was going to fight Cell as an Earthling. Now, Goku at this time was under the impression, because Cell, started a tournament, he seemed like he wanted to fight Goku so bad. Goku went into this fight under the impression that it was going to be an actual tournament. And as the fight slowly progresses, he starts to realize that that is not Cell's intention at all. So his approach towards Cell actually changes in real time as he's fighting him, the more that he realizes that he would just destroy the planet and that he doesn't actually care. So essentially, Goku is trying to get a feel of Cell. He's not just fighting Cell. He's also like trying to get a judge of his character and trying to figure out exactly what he's capable of and what he'll do within this context. Because for a little while, like I said, he assumed that Cell had the pride of a martial artist and that he would want to fight like this, like an actual tournament, like the actual tournaments that he's fought in the past. But that's not how it ends up going down.
No, not at all. And this is a great, again, I love Toriyama showing the blast going into space, and all those touches to kind of display the power. And then what ends up happening is while Cell's guard is down, Goku comes up from behind with a kick, knocking Cell away. Again, Goku's aura here, that look on his face. I mean, that is the look of shonen protagonist wants to kick your ass. Like, that's the definitive look. Yeah. Now, basically, Cell is curious about how Goku dodged it. And of course, this is from the instantaneous movement. And he says right here, it's the Shunkan Ido. I guess you don't know that. The Shunkan Ido? I see. What an annoying technique. Ironic considering what happens later on in this arc. But it's funny because it's funny to me because like we know what happens. He ends up learning it, but Goku here, if I hadn't jumped out of the way, would you have used the Kamehameha to destroy the planet? I do not know. However, I knew that you had no choice but to jump in the air. Like, he knew that Goku was going to do that.
So he calls Cell smart here.
Well, he is Goku.
Well, do you remember what he said to Frieza right before he took him out?
You idiot, or you fool, or you stupid? Stupid though?
Yeah. Him calling Cell smart is a parallel and a reflection of what he said to Frieza the day that he destroyed him. So the reason that he's saying that particularly to Cell is it's supposed to bring your mind back to when he said that to Frieza. And the reason he said that to Frieza is because Frieza refused to develop the pride of a martial artist. So what Goku is actually looking for in Cell is the pride of a martial artist. He's not necessarily looking for him to be a good guy or, to be merciful or to, be merciful, particularly towards the earth. He knows that as Cell has the actual pride of a martial artist, that the psychological trick that he pulls on a lot of the villains where he tricks them into becoming martial artists instead of villains, he can pull that off against Cell. And what he's trying to do in this fight is he's trying to figure out if Cell actually legitimately has that pride. Because if he does, then he can basically, finesse this fight no problem. He can psychologically manipulate Cell. But that's, again, not how it ends up turning out. So
let me get to this super chat here. I saw a post also from Sleep that Gogeta hasn't been defeated till today, and there hasn't been an episode, or I guess he means manga chapter, in a while. So it feels like some people now are so desperate for DBS they think their dreams about it are real. I don't know what to say about that. Sure,
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. But Gogeta hasn't been defeated at all. Like, we haven't. When did Gogeta lose a fight?
He's always he's the final weapon in every instance that I can think of. In Fusion Reborn, he takes out Janemba no problem. In GT, he's a literal nightmare towards Shenron.
And they defused, but I wouldn't call that Gogeta losing the fight.
Right. And then in then in Dragon Ball Super Broly, it speaks for itself. So I don't know what he's talking about.
If you're just talking about some weird rando online, brother, I've been in this fandom for over 10 years. I have seen stuff in the chat that's infuriated me. I mean, I broke my mic a few weeks ago. I have a new one now. Thanks. And I've seen some of the most idiotic, stupid things stated. So you sending me that doesn't shock me. And I've seen my channel, I think, has some of the smarter people, and I still see some dumb shit. When you go outside of this community into like Facebook and Instagram and those places, you're going to really deal with a lot of, I don't even want to get to it, bro. All right. So Cell's counterattack. He comes in, attacks Goku with a number of great attacks. I love Toriyama's art
this is
here.
A great fight. We got to take a second to appreciate this fight. This is an amazing fight.
Sure. It is. And Toriyama, I think, is if you really, now that we're kind of looking back at the manga, Toriyama kind of did a few new things here, and not necessarily moves, but I mean more so in the way that he kind of designed it. He's using more elbows, things like that that we don't really like. You know, it's different than the other fights. If you're reading the manga for the first time or just looking at the fights, this is a different fight in that we see them use different types of martial arts.
Yeah, the choreography is very different. Yeah.
There you go. So he knocks Goku to the ground, and then Cell's like, I'm pretty fast myself, even without the Shunkan Ito. So Goku's like, yeah, this dude is fast. Chapter 400, Defeat or Death. Toriyama is dragging this fight on several chapters, but I'm okay with it because it's good. Here we have Cell with the jabs. This was in the anime done by Studio Cockpit. The incredible jabs that he's hitting Goku with. He goes for a left hook. Goku dodges, drop kicks Cell upward. Goku and Cell both meet in the sky. Cell, of course, gets the upper hand with a double axe. That's a move we've seen a lot used in the series. They're just in shock at the incredible speed. Nobody can see them except for the fighters. And then Cell's like, we're hitting each other so hard, it would be a shame if we got knocked out of the ring.
Yeah.
And that's when Cell decides, let's nuke the ring.
And nuking the ring, FYI, is essentially nuking the idea that he was willing to participate in an actual tournament. So when he does this, Goku's like, okay, this guy's not in any way a martial artist. This is symbolic of Goku figuring out Cell's actual intentions. Is what
I think is going on here is what I mentioned earlier about Cell's personality. I think earlier in the fight, he was a martial artist. I think he was Goku. Here, Cell nuking the ring is 100% something Frieza would do.
Yeah.
And so now Cell's tapping into the Frieza genes because he's like, I want this fight to end by knockout, not by ring out. That's basically his thing. Now, he doesn't care if Goku dies or if somebody else dies. It doesn't matter to him anymore. And as you pointed out, Jordan, that's where being a martial artist stops. Martial artists should care about life, even especially innocent life, because that just makes you a good person, even if you're in the middle of a fight. This is not about the martial arts or being the strongest. This is now Cell saying, nah, I don't want to lose this cheaply because this guy can hit hard.
Yeah.
So bam, there goes the ring, destroyed. Now the fight has to be a, submit or surrender. Let's do it. So 16 is telling Mr. Satan to leave. Mr. Satan's not going to listen because his ego won't let him leave. His need to be admired, which ends up actually working out for him. Of course, Goku's son gets his because he piped his daughter, so that all pays out in the end. So now Goku and Cell go back to the ground, and now the entire earth is our ring. I actually love that line. Now the whole earth is our ring. One of us must either admit defeat or die. Right. You want to see this to an end. Well then, shall we use all this new space? And it's like now we're in a new level. So Cell starts with a ki blast. He attacks. Another one. Goku starts to dodge. This is now a long range battle. Let me get this super chat from Sleep. He says, I remember when Cell said at the start of the fight in the dub, and I knew, hold on. This thing's being weird. Oh my God. I'm sorry. It's my damn, you know how sometimes it'll pretend like it's right clicking.
Yeah.
It's not. Okay. I remember when Cell said at the start of the dub, at the fight in the dub, I knew at that instant the dub for DB was bad. Why randomly say D? I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't either, but interesting though.
When he said D,
yeah, he says
said,
apparently
I
he
don't
just
know what
said
he's
letter D.
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm so confused. Okay. Xavier with the next super chat. He says Gohan gave his girlfriend bad haircut advice. I agree. I like pigtail Videl a lot more. So I agree with you. All right. So
Oh, ding. Ding. Okay.
he says
I think I
ding.
do remember that. I actually think I do remember that.
I
Now
have
that
no memory of that because he just wrote D. Like, why didn't he just write the word ding?
right. I don't know.
Guys, can you please proofread your super chats before sending them? It gets confusing for us to keep track if you're not proofreading before you send it. Come on, please. All right. Enigma says, no way Cell just stops even if he's ringed out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's making sure now that Goku knows.
He's like, you can't say that I lost by getting out of the ring now. You can't say that. You know, it's like whenever you're playing video games with your big brother, you know, and he pulls some shit to make you think, oh, there's no, you didn't beat me, you didn't win, you didn't get a W.
Right. All right. Next super chat from Beaming Coon. When is Moro coming to the anime? All right, bro. Like we're not
20 years from now. Probably.
The day after never. All right. So back to what we're talking about. So now it becomes a long range fight where Goku's basically avoiding Cell. Cell's firing a number of ki blasts on him, just machine gunning him. And Goku's here saying, you know, okay, well, I'm going to have to fire one back. So he prepares the Kamehameha. And then Cell is kind of laughing at him, saying, you know, you'll destroy the earth if you do that, right? He prepares it, and then Cell's like, wait a minute, is this guy serious? And that's the cliffhanger. So, chapter 401, Goku continues to power up that Kamehameha. The Kamehameha, is Goku really intending on using it at full power? Because this goes against what happened, you know.
Yeah.
This goes against what happened earlier when Goku was telling Cell, don't fire a ki blast that strong. Now he's doing it. And Cell's not going to move out of the way of the earth because he doesn't care. So he's like, I can't believe it. He's really going to fire it. And then, which I think this is the best Kamehameha in the entire series. In my opinion.
Awesome.
It's the best. Yeah. Goku uses the instantaneous movement to warp right under Cell. Holy bam. This Kamehameha, bro. This is my favorite one of the entire series.
Yeah, it's one of the most intelligent uses of the Kamehameha Goku ever pulls off. I remember first seeing it in the anime. I was like, oh, okay. Wow. You know, it shocked me when I saw this the first time. So I can totally understand why this is your favorite. It's very iconic.
Well, it's awesome because it's a bait and switch. Mm-hmm. He made it seem like he was going to blow up the earth, and Cell was like, oh, no. And then warp and gone. So that is great.
And it's a really cool parallel to, like you said, Cell almost blowing up the earth earlier. But
this guy's making fun of Trenton. If Goku went back into the time chamber, do you think he could beat Cell? He's clowning on Trenton, bro, is what he's doing. Trenton has now ruined his own reputation because of that. I mean, it's his fault. I told him like 8 times what Goku said, and he kept going. I mean, yeah. Justin says, I fucking love Goku's instant transmission Kamehameha. Instantaneous movement Kamehameha, brother. We don't do that dub shit here. That was single-handedly the best moment of the Goku versus Cell fight. Jordan, is this Justin's first super chat without mentioning Diddy in like 3 months?
I think so.
That's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's wild. He says, stop clowning me, please. No, wait a minute now. Hold on. No. I warned you plenty of times in the last stream to read what was going on in the chapter. and you refuse not to. Listen, if they're going to super chat me money to clown you, good.
Well, also you have to understand, there's literally no reason to be that sensitive over an anime. Like when we pick on you guys, we're just picking on you guys for fun. It's not like we're actually like looking down on you guys or being hateful towards you. You know what I mean?
No. Hold on. This is funny. He says, "I learned my lesson. Geekdom was right. I did my homework."
It's like when your big brother picks on you guys.
Hold on. What homework did you have to do when in the stream I literally showed you Goku saying there's no point in me going back to the room of spirit and time? What homework was there, bro? What other homework was there besides what Goku literally said? Here we are 3 weeks later, and he's over here talking about doing. Did you have to fucking go to Japan and learn the language and read it in the Japanese manga to really figure that out? Oh my God. I cannot believe this motherfucker said,
yeah, let's try to spare your mic this week. And
yeah, I'm not going to break my mic over this guy, bro. But yeah, brother, because you're continuing to say shit like I did my homework, Geekdom was right, when I literally fucking showed you what Goku said. Keep making fun of him, y'all. If you have honestly, bro, keep clowning him. If he has a problem with it, close the app. Because I'm sorry, brother. You kind of deserve it. You kind of deserve it. Just saying. Anyway, Cell's blown up. And Goku has left Cell smashed. Right? Smashed. And everyone's excited. Like, oh, he did it. He did it. Yeah, he did it. Whatever. We know it's a bait and switch. That's odd. He still has most of his ki even in that state. So he's thinking that he won, but then Goku realizes after Krillin tells him, watch out, Cell does a kip up like Shawn Michaels, and then bam, regenerates.
You notice how Cell isn't a single cell. He still has half of his body left.
Wait, what?
You notice how he's not down to a single cell. He still has an entire half of his body left.
Well, yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, there are tons of people who don't pick up on that for some reason.
Well, I think it's because Cell talks about his nucleus and he points to his head. And I think people assume that blowing off Cell's head is what kills him. But I've always thought that the nucleus moves around wherever it needs to.
I don't even think that's necessary. I really don't. I think the nucleus is literally just there for whenever he gets broken down to the single cell level, which makes perfect sense.
That does make sense. That does make sense. All right. Next super chat. Justin says, geez, Cell is literally half the man he used to be. Yes, he is. But now he's I
love that song.
Yesterday.
It's a Stone Temple Pilots song where they talk about how.
Wait a minute. That's not what he's. Yesterday, all my troubles were so far away. And then in verse 2, he says, I'm not half the man I used to be. What song are you talking about?
I'm thinking of the Stone Temple Pilots song where he says something very similar.
No, the Beatles came first, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, either way, saying I'm half the man I used to be is not something that was invented in music. It's just a phrase. So, anyways. All right, let's move on here. So, Cell is back, regenerated. Goku realizes, okay, did okay, not fully. Just to be clear, I won't fall for this again. If you waste your ki on an attack like that, this fight will become very boring. And then Goku's like, I know that because I'm you and you're me. That's how I know. What? That's how I know. All right. He says, but Geekdom, why did it kill Cell and Superheroes, the movie? He's just trolling. He's making fun of people because I actually haven't seen that comment around the fandom. Are people actually comparing Cell Max to the original Cell? Because they're not even the same thing. Like, are people really doing that?
I don't know, but I do think that panel where Goku's like, "Oh yeah, you can regenerate, of course," just like Piccolo. I think that's a very overlooked panel. Like people pay so much
This
attention.
one?
Yeah, people pay so much attention to the whole nucleus thing that they just overlook that panel. Like it's literally it doesn't seem like a super complicated explanation, but that's because there's no need for it to be a complicated explanation. He had enough energy to regenerate. It's that simple.
But was it not stated that as long as Piccolo keeps his head, he can regenerate? Cell lost his head in this instance.
No. As a matter of fact, he breaks into pieces in the Buu saga, and he still regenerates.
Okay, but wait, no, his head. That's when he says it. He says it in the Buu saga. He says, "As long as my head stays intact, I can regenerate." But that's what I'm saying. Cell's head was blown up, so it wasn't
right.
intact.
Right. He definitely has a more advanced version of regeneration than Piccolo.
No, that's what I'm saying. But it's not Piccolo's regeneration. It's Cell's like super regeneration or something.
Right.
I did a video about it. Okay. Goku comes in again with physical attacks. They start going at it. Now they're hitting each other once again. Son Goku's puzzling behavior, chapter 402. It's funny how Toriyama just ends it with like a panel of them fighting and we move on. So Cell comes in, knocks Goku into a mountain. This fight actually goes several weeks. Like if you're reading this weekly, like, you know, as it's coming out in Japan, this is like a month and a half of this fight.
Yeah, that's wild to think about. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, because it's weekly, right? So you're a month and a half, you're still like, okay, well, who's gonna win this thing? But I'm not even thinking about who's gonna win. Maybe when I was a kid, I was. I'm thinking more about how awesome this fight is, because it is a good fight. It's genuinely lots of choreography. You get a great, you get an awesome. Oh, I forgot to take that guy's super chat off. Sorry about that. You get an awesome like mix of long range attacks and up close. I like that. I've always liked that. And the anime version is better because just the animation just made it better. All right, so now Goku's firing a bunch of ki blasts at Cell. This is also in the anime where he's just going in. And at this point, so there's a theory that somebody hit me with a long time ago that I want to ask you about.
Okay.
And this is actually one that I've thought about, but I don't know how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
People, somebody, I forget who it was like Juan or one of these guys. They brought up the fact that the reason as to why Goku is firing all these ki blasts at Cell is because he already knew he was going to surrender and pass the baton to Gohan and just wanted to empty the rest of the cells in his body out to show Gohan that that's not going to work either. Like, what do you think about that? I've never thought about that when I saw the show or read the manga, but why that still doesn't make sense to why Goku would do that.
I just think Goku's just doing whatever he can to try and take out Cell at this point. I do think that he does know in the back of his mind, because he is a martial artist, that the more he fights Cell and gives everybody else around him an idea of his techniques and his power and stuff like that, the better off they will all be in terms of like being able to take down Cell, because they're getting an idea of how he fights. But in terms of like that particular instance, I'm not sure. I just think it's more so a general thing. Like,
yeah, right. No, I mean, and then Cell just does this Kia and just knocks everything away. So maybe he was doing that to show Gohan that spamming ki attacks is not going to work, because Cell has a way to just bounce out of it and create this this barrier, right? That's what I think.
yeah.
But Goku didn't even know the barrier was coming. I love this barrier, bro. I think it looks awesome. You could say it is 17's barrier, just upgraded because it's Cell. See, you forced me to use a barrier technique. Frankly, I'm impressed. I didn't think you could even do. You could even hurt me. So that's definitely for Gohan. Gohan now, I think it's more so for him to see the barrier. This whole line about, oh, that's Chi Chi's husband and this and that. Everyone's watching. They're all thinking like, okay, Goku might have got him. She thought that, and then Roshi's like, no, Goku looks like he's putting up a good fight, but he looks exhausted while Cell isn't.
Um,
I don't think that Goku can.
Goku didn't sin here. I don't know. Like people keep talking. People in the chat keep acting like Goku did something wrong here. He didn't do anything wrong here.
What did he do wrong?
He's. I don't know. I don't know what he did wrong. It's just that. It's one of the comments was that this was to show that the father cannot cleanse himself of his own sins and that he has to rely on the son in order to do so. And that's not the case at all.
What? I ain't never heard that.
Goku is pure of heart. There is no sin here. I mean, he's consistently the same character ever since he gets hit by the Devil Might beam, and his themes surround the idea that he is free of evil thought and sin and all of that's the entire reason that despite the fact that he does countless selfish things in the past, he still gets to keep his body and he still gets to go to heaven. So this idea that Goku can't redeem himself just isn't true at all. Like Goku's perfectly fine. Like he's still in line with his character. If he died right now, he would still go to heaven. So
well, it's coming, but I have never heard that before. I don't. The sins of the father, like what? It's like a different series, dude. That's not this series. Justin says, "Fun fact: Goku never defeated Cell." Did you have to do your homework for that one, Justin? Did you have to spend 3 weeks doing your homework, bro, to figure that one out? Some people have to do that, All right, so Roshi says, and it looks like he is completely aware of that fact. I don't know what he's planning. So Master Roshi knows that it's game over for Goku, but again, he doesn't really know why. So there's that giant crater that Cell left. It looks like you've exhausted your strength. I think that you should eat a Senzu, Son Goku. It'll make this fight a bit more fun for me. So it's just funny how Cell is like, go ahead, eat a Senzu bean, which is funny because a lot of people criticize Goku for giving a Senzu bean to his enemy when Cell was the one who was like, go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I have absolutely no problem with the Senzu bean scene, for the record. We'll talk about it when we get there, but
there's a super chat, and I'm not even going to acknowledge it. Like, I'm not even going to acknowledge that super chat. Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
I think he's trolling, but I'm not acknowledging it, brother. We are not going to go there. You're trying to get me to break my mic for 2 shows in a row, and I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to fall for it, dude. Sleep says, fun fact, Mr. Satan killed Cell. That requires 3 weeks of research. All right, moving on. So they're over here like, yeah, give him a Senzu. Go ahead. And then Vegeta's like, shut up, Trunks. I guess you don't know about the pride of a Saiyan. Kakarot would rather die than win like that. Remember, he's no longer fighting for just the Earth
This
anymore.
is a hell of a gag. I love this right here. This is funny on Toriyama's part. This is hilarious.
Wait, what's funny? What Vegeta says?
The fact that Vegeta says all that and then Goku's like, I give up. It's like, it's the funniest thing ever. It's like literally like, I don't know, like the way that Toriyama wove that in is just hilarious.
It's funny though. He'll probably die out there. And then it pisses me off to say this, but I admire him. I trained as hard as I can, but I never could have surpassed Kakarot. He's a genius. Unfortunately, Cell isn't just 1 step ahead of him, but 2. So what should we do? Just stand idly by and watch? You said yourself he probably has some kind of plan. We'll have to rely on that. So I like that back and forth because they don't know what's going on, but they have 2 different perspectives, and they're kind of asking the same questions that the audience would be asking.
Well, the thing is like, this is actually, and it's not coming out and telling you this, But the purpose of the scene is to tell you the difference between Saiyan pride and martial arts pride. Because what Vegeta is describing is the pride of a Saiyan. That's the reason that he assumes that Goku would be willing to die out there and all those good things. But in reality, Goku has the pride of a martial artist, and that's why he approaches the situation a little bit different than what Vegeta initially thought.
I want to highlight this comment because Mecha J is very right. He says that's one step in Vegeta's development, recognizing Goku's fighting skills. Yes, and he always recognized them. It's just that him actually saying it out loud, that took a lot. So moving on, Cell is over here like, I've lost a lot of strength. If you come back at full power, you might have a slight chance of winning. Come on, amuse me for a bit more, which is so funny because we all know that Cell is still hiding his true power. And then Goku smiles and he says, I give up. Then I surrender. I know how strong you are now, thus I give up. What? He gave up? What a shocking moment. Now, even when I was a little kid, I understood the meaning of this because, like, Goku giving up is not indicative of Goku failing because he didn't fail. He did exactly what he wanted to do, which is he knew he probably couldn't beat Cell. He even went to go to Karin, if you remember, and say, what do you think? You're older than I am. And Master Karin told him, oh, you probably about half as strong as Cell. So Goku and everybody else recognize that Cell is stronger. And, well, Goku, let me take that back. Goku and the few smart ones recognize that Cell is stronger.
Also,
but the plan was never to beat Cell. The plan was to show Gohan what Cell can do so Gohan could do it.
Right. If he was stronger than Cell, he probably would have defeated him. And he basically knew the entire time that, like, he probably wasn't going to be strong enough to defeat Cell. He felt as though he had reached his peak, Trenton, whenever he was in the time chamber. So that's why, he doesn't feel like he can make enough progress to actually take down Cell. So.
Jordan, don't worry. He spent 48 hours a day, 8 days a week researching, and he finally figured out that wouldn't have helped Goku. He finally, after spending a lifetime's worth of research, he finally found that out, brother. So don't even, anyways. All right, moving on. So Cell is just in shock. He's like, he's basically saying no one else can take me. He's already fought. He's already fought Vegeta. He's already fought Trunks. He fought Piccolo in his first form. And then he says, don't get the wrong idea. There's still someone left for you to fight. Cell is like, who? And he's like, Vegeta and Trunks might have gotten a bit stronger, but there's still no match for me. That's what Cell says. And which is probably hurting Vegeta. Here, Mr. Satan is once again trying to pretend like he wants to be the hero when he can't be. Can I decide who goes next? Are you serious? What the hell is he doing? No one can defeat Cell.
So, one really important thing that I want to hammer home here is that Cell wanting to fight Goku so bad tells Goku that had he been stronger than Cell, there's a chance that he could have pulled a Piccolo or whatever on him and actually manipulated him into becoming a martial artist. And there's actually like an alternate ending. I can't remember the video game that it's from, but there's an animated alternate ending to the Cell Saga where Goku is stronger than Cell and does defeat Cell. And Cell basically does the exact same thing that Piccolo did during the World Tournament at the end of the original Dragon Ball. and he basically is just like, I'll come back and defeat you later. You know, it's literally like the exact same thing that happens. It's a good thing they didn't do that with this arc, because it would have been very repetitive. It would have been the same ending. But Goku, in the back of his mind, is thinking, well, if I was stronger than Cell, then maybe I could have manipulated him the same way that I have all of these other villains in the past. But because he's not stronger than Cell, he can't do that. And he understands that. He's like, there's no way that I can pull a Goku on this character because I'm too weak. Right.
But he saw something in Gohan in the Room of Spirit and Time, which was actually in the anime version. They gave us more of that. The anime version has a scene where you see Gohan tap into Super Saiyan 2 briefly, and that was added for the anime. One of the good things they added for more context. Xavier says, do you guys think believe either Super Saiyan Grade 4 Goku or preteen Gohan could have beat Perfect and Super Perfect Cell the same way they beat Z Broly? You mean like
energy, like everybody
gives them energy? What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because we didn't even see Cell's full power.
Right. Well, not just that, he has the regeneration, but yeah.
Okay, bro. It's come to my attention that you're a little slow. So I'm just going to say it real slowly for you so that you understand. Because now I get it. There was no reason for you to do your homework that day after the stream, when in the stream, Jordan and I showed you the manga panel where Goku said that training in the Room of Spirit and Time more would not give him any gains. That's why you're getting made fun of. That's why. Because we're literally explaining to you in the stream, and you're saying, oh, I did research afterward when we showed it to you. Does that make sense? Can I make it? Do I have to break it down even more? Do I have to break it down even more, bro?
I think Trenton's actually leaving now.
Good, bro. Good. I'm fine with that.
So this guy says, according to Seth, Broly is stronger than Cell, so yes, it would work. First of all, Seth, the programmer, is not Akira Toriyama or anybody. He is not an official member of the staff. He's just a power scaler on YouTube. So, like, it's whatever. Like, it's not about who's stronger in this instance. It's about the fact that Cell can regenerate and Broly can't. So let's just say hypothetically that Goku did, get a bunch of energy from somebody and he did take down Cell. Cell would come back in a way that Broly just simply could not. Power scaling aside, it's just like, no, I don't think it would work. But anyway.
Yeah, they never actually like, no one's ever made that statement. Koyama said something like that, but he created Broly. I mean, he was over here complaining about Beerus. So anyways, That's not a big deal. Let's move on here. So the warrior who surpassed Goku. I love this cover art here of all the characters. This next match will decide the outcome of the Cell games. If he can't beat you, there will be no one left to fight you. So Goku's very confident. Who's he talking about? But after fighting you, I'm sure that he will win. That's why I'm leaving it all up to him. At this point, it has to be Gohan. You have to kind of figure it out, because who else would it be? Like, everyone else has fought Cell already. Who's it going to be, Yamcha?
Yeah, and Gohan is who Goku trained with. So, yeah.
Right. Okay, here's a question. When Goku came back for one day, he's talking about in the Buu saga, what would happen if he was in the time chamber and was in there for more than a day? In their sense, the time is different. Would it still affect him?
So
that's actually a pretty good question.
Because he has a dead body, would the time chamber affect him the same way? Is essentially like a more simple version of that question. And actually, I don't think so. I don't think it would affect him the same way. I mean, but in terms of using up his lifespan to stay on Earth, I think that's the more interesting aspect of that question, because the time chamber is technically considered a completely separate dimension from both heaven and Earth. So I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about, to be honest.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question because he's right. Like if time moves differently there, in theory, does that mean Goku could have been back on outside of hell? Hell, I'm sorry, outside of the afterlife, not hell, the afterlife, for a whole year if he stayed in the room of spirit and time?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't have an answer because
I would say Toriyama would probably be like, nah, he's still going to use up his lifespan in the time chamber, because he's not. I don't think he's going to give Goku the opportunity to buff himself without any repercussions. But it would be a really interesting idea if he could go into the time chamber and expend his energy without leaving Earth. That would be interesting. Be cool idea.
Right. So Cell is like, who is it, huh? Everyone's there. And then he's like, he's going to say my name. Tell him I can't fight. I got a stomach ache. This dude's ego, bro. he's comedy. It's your turn, Gohan. Sacre bleu. That's basically the big thing. What did you say? What the hell is he thinking? Is he just going to watch his son die? Is he talking about fried rice? That joke only makes sense in Japanese. So Gohan, the word Gohan in Japanese translates to bento box or rice. So that's why there's a couple of puns in the show where people say Gohan's name and they're like, "What? I don't know what you're having for lunch." So that's why it says astonishing. It appears that they're taking a lunch break in the midst of battle. So Gohan has two meanings. So yes, sunrise.
Toriyama at least tries to throw some comedy in there. He at least tries.
No, and I think it works because it's if you don't know Gohan's name is Gohan, if you don't know Grandpa Gohan, if you don't know all that stuff, which obviously this announcer guy doesn't know, he's just a human, right? You're gonna hear the word Gohan, and it's like if the guy's name was Pork. Hey, all right, roast pork is gonna come fight. Roast pork. Are they gonna have food? Like, that's what you think. Yeah. That's what you would think. All right, so are you kidding me? Is he really talking about Gohan? Can you do it? Gohan, you really want me to fight Cell? It's impossible, Goku. We can't do this. I know he's gotten stronger, but this is Cell. You said that you didn't stand a chance against him. So here's the thing. This is where the debate comes in about Piccolo and Goku and the father and all that stuff. I think people here think that Piccolo's being a good father because he is protecting Gohan or being protective of Gohan. But Piccolo wasn't the one that was with Gohan for a year in the Room of Spirit and Time. Yeah. He wasn't. And because he wasn't, he doesn't know what Gohan's capable of, and Goku does know. So I'm not saying Piccolo's in the wrong. I'm glad he cares about the kid, right? Obviously. But I also don't think that this makes Goku a bad dad.
Let me put it this way. Goku and Gohan both have unflinching confidence in each other. If Goku had not had that unflinching confidence in Gohan, Gohan would have failed. They would have all died.
Yeah.
So Goku having that amount of confidence in his son is the reason they win this fight. Straight up. Say what you want about Goku. I don't, it's whatever. People can have different opinions on this. But it's like, if Goku did not show the degree of confidence towards Gohan that he did, Gohan would have not in the end defeated Cell. And that's just a fact.
I mean, that's just a fact. Like, nobody else could beat Cell.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, Gohan was the one that did it. The end of story. Like that, there's no arguing that. Like Gohan killed Cell. So you can say good dad, bad dad all you want to. Goku ultimately was right. Did it cost him his life? Yeah, to a degree. And that was Gohan's mistake for not finishing Cell off. But what if Gohan did finish Cell off? Then that's it. Game over.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, he's not a teenager. He's 11 years old. Don't believe the video games that call him Teen Gohan. He's not a teen here. Teen Gohan is Gohan in the Buu Saga, who's 18. Here he's 11. So Goku explains to Piccolo that Gohan is a lot stronger and that he was in the room of spirit and time. He awakened the great power within him. Should I ask him how he feels? See, this is like two parents arguing. You know what I'm saying? Gohan, like a mom and a dad arguing. Gohan, when you were watching me fight Cell, did you think that he was too strong for you? I didn't think so, but neither of you were fighting all out, were you? I don't know about Cell, but I was fighting as hard as I could. I want to quickly highlight this. One of the most annoying things that I have read in the fandom, I don't know where they got it from. I don't know who made it up and people just believed it, is this idea that Goku could have beaten Cell, but he wanted Gohan to do it. That Goku had a secret power inside of him and that he could have beaten Cell, but he let Gohan do it. This has never been stated in the manga, never been stated in the anime, was never said even in the dub, was not in any guidebook. This is like when people say Goku learned the instant transmission on Yardrat. You haven't been the fusion on Yardrat. People are confusing what Goku said about Majin Buu, saying, I think I could have beat Majin Buu in Super Saiyan 3 with this. Goku could not have beaten Cell. Not only does he say it himself, and this is for the Tretons of the world, because you have to really zoom in close and repeat yourself 100 times for them to get it.
Yeah.
I don't know about Cell, but I was fighting as hard as I could. He couldn't have beaten Cell. End of story.
There's no way.
He couldn't. Yeah. There was no secret power. Goku didn't have Super Saiyan 2 deep inside of him. Pause. It was Gohan. And Gohan himself is like, wait, you weren't fighting. You were fighting all out, but he wasn't? Even Gohan knows that. Because he wasn't holding back. And then Gohan's like, yeah, I can't believe it. The brat must be lying. You can do it, Gohan. Bring back peace into this world. What you want, you do want to become a famous scholar, right? See, Goku is still wanting Gohan to be a scholar. Remember, though, it's all Chi-Chi's fault, Jordan. The internet told me that it's all Chi-Chi's fault. It's not Goku's fault. It's all Chi-Chi's fault.
Yep.
It's just fuck, man. Like 10 years of being in this fandom and seeing shit that like there's a reason why Dragon Ball fans can't read is a meme because it's true.
Yeah.
Because it's actually true. So yeah, Gohan was the only choice. Could they have jumped Cell? Maybe. Cell may have killed them. So let me get this. There's a super chat that came through that I missed. Let me get it real quick from Justin. He says, I know who Trenton could beat Cell. That's why he left the stream so he could finish what Goku started with Cell. Brother, the only thing Trenton beats is his meat, bro. Because he sure as shit ain't beating no college exam. Anyways, moving on. I'm going to lay off the guy. Jumping him would not have worked. So then Gohan takes off the cape, and Gohan is battle ready. Krillin, do you have any Senzu left? Yeah, can you hand me one? Thank you. he gives the senzu to Cell. What do you think about this, Jordan?
I've explained this so many times, but Goku thinks that Gohan is him. That's what this is. This is a direct callback to whenever Goku gave the gave the sensu to Piccolo, which is ironic because Piccolo's the one that complains about it. It's
In the
unbelievable.
23rd tournament.
Yeah. This is a callback to whenever he gave Piccolo a sensu. And the reason that he does it is because, and like you said, they expand on this a little bit more in the anime because we see Gohan actually visibly get upset because Goku is holding back on him in the time chamber. And whenever Goku sees that in Gohan, he's like, "Oh, Gohan's actually way more like me than I originally thought." Like he actually kind of has the pride of a martial artist. But what Goku, his mistake was that the pride that he saw in Gohan was not the pride of a martial artist. It was the pride of a Saiyan. And it was the pride of a Saiyan that was coming out as a result of his anger.
Right.
And
his connection to his human connection to the earth.
Yeah. So mix. What happens here is Goku expects that whenever Gohan gets his power up, that he's going to be able to control himself the way that Goku did on Namek. He expects Gohan to be able to control himself, and not only control himself, but reflect the same attitude that Goku reflected at Cell to cause Cell to be so intoxicated by him. You'll notice, like, prior to all this, Cell is essentially begging Goku to fight him. He's like, bro, you're the only one I want to fight. I'll fight you all day. Like, I love this. And the reason he's saying that is because Goku is particularly appealing to Cell because Goku has that martial arts mentality. Gohan does not have that. Goku thinks that he has that, but he doesn't have that. So what Goku is expecting here is he's expecting him to give Cell the sensu, Gohan to get his power up, Gohan to dominate Cell, and to be able to manipulate Cell into becoming a martial artist because he thinks that Gohan is more like him than he actually is. But that's not what happens at all, as we're about to see. So.
Well, and I just want to give my perspective because I see this talked about a lot. And I might do a video on it at some point. Maybe I already did and I forgot that I did. This is one of those things where when I first got into Dragon Ball Z, I was like 13 years old. And when I first saw this, it was 13, 14, 15, right around my teenage years, when I first saw and read all about this Cell getting a senzu. And as a teenage kid, without even having my frontal lobe fully developed, the way that I saw this was that Goku had so much confidence in Gohan. He had so much goodwill in Gohan that he gave Cell a senzu to say, no, people aren't going to say Son Gohan defeated Cell because Goku softened him up. Cell, you're not going to make the excuse that I softened you up. Gohan is going to beat you at max power. That's what this was. Yeah. Gohan is going to beat you at your best. No excuses. That is what all Goku was doing here.
Yeah.
Now, some people say that it's dumb because Cell is a villain, and we've talked about this before. Yes, and logically, from like a human perspective, it would be dumb. If we were Goku in the real world, this is a dumb move.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the whole pride of a martial artist and the way Goku thinks, no excuses. Gohan's going to beat you at your best. Fuck you.
Yeah,
it's basically Gohan giving Cell the big fuck you.
This scene ends up being an opposite parallel to what Goku does to Frieza on Namek, But if you'll remember, one of the things that Goku said to Frieza on Namek was, I'm satisfied. Your pride's been shattered because we both fought each other at full power and you were defeated by me, just a lowly Saiyan. So he's thinking this, he's basically projecting himself onto Gohan. He's thinking, oh, when Gohan gets the upper hand, he's going to practice that same attitude. And that's just not what happens.
Right. And it's the point I'm trying to make is I figured this out when I was a kid, and it's just weird that people struggle with it now. And this is not like, oh, I'm smarter than everybody else. I'm not. This is not that hard to figure out. Goku just wanted Gohan to beat him at his best. That's it. It's no different than when Goku tells Frieza, hey, go find peace, leave me alone, train, and we'll fight again. Because Goku thinks that Frieza has some of that martial artist in him, and he thinks that Frieza is going to want to fight him again, which he did in Resurrection F. However, what did Frieza do when he lost? Blew up the earth, because Frieza and people like Frieza don't ever play fair. This is why I criticized Goku giving the Senzu to Moro, because I felt like by the time the Moro arc came around, Goku giving anybody a Senzu would be a big mistake because of what Cell wound up doing when he tried to blow up the earth. See what I'm saying? I thought Goku should have learned from that. But when it comes to this moment here, in a nutshell, from the original manga and later the anime, I see no problem with this. It doesn't make Goku a bad dad. On the contrary, it makes him a dad that's very confident in his fucking son.
Yeah. Yeah, he is unbelievably confident in Gohan. That's true.
Cell's very exhausted. I want this to be a fair fight. This is literally what I just said. Then Yamcha, playing the part of the fandom, says, this isn't the time for fair. You foolishly always try to be the hero. That foolishness of yours will cost you your life. Yeah, well, first of all, that's true. That did cost him his life. But secondly, no, Brian, I know nobody assumed that, but I want you to know it's not an ego thing. That's not what's going on with me. It's just a simple understanding of what's going on. So what Cell says here is true, right? Trying to be the hero, but Goku doesn't care. It's not about being the hero. He wants Gohan to be the hero. And then, of course, Cell takes it. What's Cell going to do? No, I'll beat him the way I am. No, I'll fuck you. This Senzu is good. He powers up. Don't blame me on this. Goku, what you just did was insane, even though, as you said, he gave one to Piccolo. That is funny, I think. Yeah. I think it's funny.
It's hilarious.
Okay. Gohan is 9 or 10. In the Buu saga, which is stated to be 7 years, the manga says he's 16. I thought the manga said he was 18. You might be right. No, actually, you might be right, because I thought it said 18. I could have sworn it said 18. But if it says 16, then that would mean he's 9. He's still not a teen. He's still, you can't call, if Gohan is 9 years old, bro, you know what that means, right? That means that he ain't teen Gohan.
Right.
That was my whole point. That was my whole point. He's still in a teen at 9. The issue that I've always run into when it comes to Gohan and his age is that he was in the room of spirit and time for a year. Do you count that as him aging a year? Some people do and some people don't.
Right.
I'm just saying. All right, so Gohan powers up. Here we go. Gohan gets into the fight. He's ready to rock and roll. I love this determined look on his face. Fucking here we go. All right, chapter 404. Take off, Super Son Gohan. Gohan does the same thing Goku does. Powers up. Everyone's like, whoa, maybe Goku was right. Maybe Gohan does have a chance. Is that really Gohan? He's all grown up. Yeah, motherfucker. What was Goku trying to tell you? See, it's like Goku was right. Everything Jordan said earlier, Goku was right. Piccolo wasn't in there with Gohan in the trenches training. Goku was for a year. No, but Piccolo's a bad dad, and Goku's a bad dad, and Piccolo's Gohan's real dad. No, he's not. No, he is not. I like it. I like this. All right. I got another super chat here. From Sleep. Cell really went downhill. He went from a sex addict to a drug addict. Did you mean to write sex addict?
I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, and I think he's trying to pull a Justin. The drugs, I'm guessing, is the Senzu. Brother, Senzus would be a lovely drug to get addicted to if they were real. How could this brat become so powerful? Perhaps Goku wasn't lying. Perhaps there was a bit of truth after all. But still, to say that he could defeat me is a bit much. I will kill him before he hits me. You will regret your actions, Son Goku. Because of your mistake, your son will be killed. So you really intend to fight me? And he's like, well, you might get lucky. And then Gohan gets ready. Cell goes for a kick. Gohan blocks it. Cell goes for a chop. Gohan dodges. I think this part of the fight is very underrated. The pre-Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan full power or Super Saiyan grade 4 Gohan against Cell is still fun.
Yeah, because he's very calm and collected. He fights a lot like a martial artist in his early fight.
And it's just good choreography too.
Yeah.
Cell goes for a kick. Gohan dodges. He says he's quick. Cell comes in, gets right in Gohan's face, starts pounding him in the face, headbutting him. Now Gohan knows he's in a fight. He starts hitting him with multiple punches to the face, knocks him away, blasts him, using a ki, using the force, as they say, to push Gohan into this mountain. Now Cell's like, okay, motherfucker, if you really want to fight, let me push you. Maybe that was a bit too much. How immature of me to do that to a kid. What an asshole Cell is, bro. Even though Gohan's technically older than him. And then here comes Piccolo with his bullshit. This is all your fault, Goku. You were too optimistic. We all warned you. And then he's like, calm down, Piccolo. I can still feel his ki. Piccolo actually thinks that Gohan is dead. What's funny about this is that Piccolo's kind of like playing like Chi-Chi here.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? He doesn't have that confidence that Goku has. And yeah, Chi-Chi's a lot like that too. Like, and that changes later on. Like Chi-Chi, like she understands later on that Gohan is like very capable. But like right here, Piccolo is pulling a Chi-Chi in the sense that he's like, he just doesn't have that faith. So.
And then Cell is telling Goku, eat a Senzu and come fight me. I don't want to fight this kid. And then here comes Gohan from out of the rubble, showing that he's still tough. I love it. This is how you book a fucking babyface, bro. This is what Cody Rhodes did at WrestleMania. Yeah, I was going to say it. Is not how you book a fucking babyface. This is how you book a babyface.
So this
you
right
make them
here,
tough.
This scene right here is so important.
Yes, it is.
And there is things about this scene that people just straight up overlook. Now, Gohan,
you want to talk about it?
Yes, Gohan and Goku, in order to master Super Saiyan, they had to imbue Super Saiyan with their nature as an Earthling.
Yeah, for grade 4.
Yeah, this is Gohan's inner nature. Gohan has a dual nature, okay? This is Gohan's nature as an Earthling completely pulled to the surface. This is Gohan's nature as an Earthling exaggerated and pulled to the surface. You were talking about the whole Moro thing. Ultra Instinct is the exact same thing. It's actually a parallel to this. Whenever Goku's in Ultra Instinct, his nature as an Earthling is pulled completely to the surface, which is why he acts a little bit different than he normally would. It literally changes his personality.
That happens to a lot of transformations, if you notice.
Yeah. So what you're seeing from Gohan here is very similar to what we saw with Goku there. The difference is that right here, Gohan does not have the upper hand. Now, Gohan does think that he does, in the back of his mind, he's like, well, if my dad's so confident in me that I also have, then I probably will end up being able to defeat this fight. Like, Goku's confidence feeds into Gohan in that way, in a very blatant way. We actually see it. We actually can see that Gohan, the confidence that he has comes from the fact that his dad has so much faith in him. Toriyama does a great job portraying that. But this is meant, they put this specifically here in the manga to parallel what's going to happen here in a few, whenever Gohan's Saiyan nature is completely pulled out to the surface and he's completely separated from his earthling nature. So this is like a perfect example of us getting to see the two sides of Gohan's personality. Whenever he's in complete control of his Super Saiyan form, we get to see who Gohan is as an earthling. But whenever he completely loses control in Super Saiyan 2, we get to see an exaggerated version of what he is as a Saiyan. And that's just something that a lot of people overlook about this particular scene.
The thing I want to add to what you said is what's happening here between Cell and Gohan, because this is super important in understanding the character of Gohan and Cell. Cell's like, oh, you're tougher than I thought. And Gohan says, please stop. This fight is meaningless. Now, what's happening here, right, is that he says, unlike my father, I don't like to fight. I don't want to kill anybody, right? I'm not even against someone as evil as you. What's Gohan saying is too quiet for me to understand. I understand that you don't like to fight, but what I don't understand is why you don't want to kill me. Cell has no understanding of Gohan because the cells that he has inside of him are almost all, no, not almost, they're all aliens. Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Frieza, King Cold. He doesn't have any earthling cells.
Yeah.
How can he relate to a kid that was born on Earth who's half human? We're going to get to that in just a moment. I'm not done yet. I'm still explaining, so please hold your comments. He says, I'm beginning to get it now about why Dad said that I'm the only one strong enough to beat you. Ever since I was a little boy, when I got really angry, I would lose control of myself and get more powerful than I could possibly imagine. Looks like your little plan has failed, huh? Did you really think that I would get scared listening to that story of yours? You really are still a child. You made me want to piss you off to see if you're really telling the truth. So Gohan is warning Cell, because Cell doesn't know a lot about Gohan. He knows some, but he doesn't know how Gohan's power worked. Gohan tells him, I don't want to fight you. This is meaningless. Let's just move on with our lives. Now, is Gohan naive for saying that? Yeah, because Cell is a dickhead villain, and he's programmed to rule and destroy the Earth and destroy Goku and hurt Gohan's family and shit. But Gohan's telling him, like, if you get me mad, I'm going to destroy you. Now, Cell is taking it like, well, he's trying to scare me. He's trying to scare me into not fighting him. He thinks that Gohan is bluffing. Gohan is not bluffing. Gohan is being genuine with his feelings.
Yeah.
That is super important, because what we have here, and I've talked about this before, is the inverse of what happened earlier with Vegeta. Cell told Vegeta, if I had my perfect body, I would beat you. Vegeta's like, let me get you that perfect body because I want to fight you at your best. Now, what's the difference between that and what Goku did when he gave the Senzu to Cell? Well, Goku has a supreme confidence in his son, more than even Gohan had. Vegeta doesn't know what the fuck was going on, didn't know how strong Cell would become, and he ended up getting nerfed for it.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make is now Cell is the one whose ego is knocking on the front door saying, hey, let me in. You should let the kid get angry. You should make the kid angry. That way you can beat him and show everybody your perfect form. his ego for his perfect body is exactly the same as Goku's confidence for Gohan. The only difference is that Cell's version is egotistical,
like Vegeta, yeah.
like Vegeta, whereas Goku's confidence is genuine. That's the difference here. And they both make the same mistake. And even though the Cell Saga does have some writing issues, this is my favorite part of the writing. Specifically, what Toriyama wrote for the Cell Saga was this right here. This whole like idea that Gohan and Cell have switched places where Vegeta was at. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing I have to add is, the fact that Gohan knows. A lot of people think that like Gohan is like out of character here, and he's not. Like I said before,
No, he's not.
He's just his nature as an Earthling is exaggerated and brought to the surface, and the difference between what we are seeing with Gohan here, and particularly against Cell, and all the instances that we've seen him like attack people and be violent and vicious in the past, are a side effect of what Gohan's talking about here with Cell. When he snaps, he loses it, and he fights as though he's a ruthless killer or a monster or whatever. You know what I mean? And people see that from Gohan in the past, and they think that he's like consistently like that, and he's not. When Gohan has control of himself, he's a pacifist. A lot of people don't understand this, and they talk about this in the Karate Kid, but martial artists learn martial arts so we don't have to fight.
Right. That's Miyagi-Do.
Right. So that's the actual point of martial arts, and that's what Gohan was trying to practice there. He's trying.
Not just that, but when Gohan would attack previous villains, it was usually after something bad had happened. He didn't go serious on Nappa until Piccolo was killed. He didn't go serious on Frieza until he saw Frieza wipe out Namekians. He didn't even go after Dodoria until he saw him destroy innocent people. Gohan has not really seen Cell do anything too vicious, with the exception of almost killing Piccolo. Yeah. But that happened a while ago. That was before the Room of Spirit and Time. A year had passed in Gohan's head. So, because he was in there for a year, but for the people outside of it, it was a day. So, it's not like Cell killed Goku or anything like that.
Right.
But now Cell's like, well, I'm going to have to do something to piss you off. Justin says, yeah, Cell Diddy Combs would be entertained by the idea of putting his hands on a child. Among other things, Gohan should tell him, the bio is mine. It belongs to me. You cannot take my bio.
Yeah, he needs to protect that bio, bro. He's talking about how Cell absorbs people, but he's also making a gross sex joke as well. So it's both.
Oh, I've never heard the term bio before for that. But I thought bio was like biography.
It's your biology, bro.
Oh, I mean, biology.
Yeah.
I thought when somebody's like, oh, that's my bio, it's like my biography, like, you know.
No, he's talking about it within the context of biology. But yeah.
Chapter 405, will Son Gohan get angry? So Cell's elbowing Gohan, knocks him away. At this point, Cell has taken control, and he wants Gohan to fucking fight back. Gohan fights back with a hell of a kick to the head, knocking Cell down. Cell gets up with his face bruised, and he's bleeding, and he's like, ooh, well, now I really want you to get mad because you've got fight in you. And Goku's encouraging it deep down inside. You can do it, Cell. Make Gohan mad. Then you'll experience fear for the first time in your life, which is actually what happened. Now Cell's going in the Frieza playbook to fire these death blasts, and Gohan is fast enough to dodge. This is his instincts kicking in. Krillin recognizes it as being Frieza's technique. Gohan is dodging, moving around. Then Cell grabs Gohan in a bear hug. So this is the bear hug, and he traps him, and he's squeezing him, telling him, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get you mad, right? And then here we have the mom and dad arguing over the boy again. Do you really want Gohan to be killed? And then he's like, just wait till he gets angry. When he gets mad, his power will boost. And then he's like, our only hope is if Gohan gets mad. And Vegeta's even like, does Goku really think that?
Yeah,
It is
does he have
good.
that much confidence? That's wild. Yeah.
No, but it's wild because it shows that Vegeta didn't even have that much confidence in his son. We
No,
talked
yeah,
about that a couple streams ago.
yes, he's definitely. I love how all the characters, like, despite the fact they're just standing at the sidelines watching the fight, they all have a role within the story in terms of, like, critiquing and exploring the idea of parenthood and confidence in your child and how to guide your child and things of that nature. Piccolo and Vegeta and Trunks, they all, like Goku, they are all like expanding on this theme in their own way, and I like how Toriyama did that. It's really cool.
No, and even when Piccolo has something to say, I'm not discrediting what Piccolo said. I think what he says actually adds
He's
layers to
right.
the
Yeah,
story. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I like Piccolo's role here. Like I joke around about how he's Chi-Chi, but you need to have a character like that to kind of have Goku. Because if everybody just agree with Goku, there's no dialogue to be had. So it's more interesting, and Toriyama knows this. It's more interesting to have characters sort of talk and have differences. Like
yeah.
that is what makes a story interesting, not everybody agreeing all the time. And
Well, he's also right, because what Piccolo is trying to tell Goku is Gohan doesn't have the pride of a martial artist, bro. He doesn't have it.
he tells
So
him that right here in this
yeah,
panel.
so even if he powers up above Cell, even if something happens and he is stronger than Cell, he's not going to enjoy the fight. He's not going to approach it the way that you did whenever you were fighting Cell a few minutes ago. It's not going to be the same thing at all. Now, that is where Goku is wrong. So they're both right and wrong in their own ways. Goku is very justified in his confidence in Gohan. Obviously, we all know that. But Piccolo is also correct about the idea that Gohan doesn't have the pride of a martial artist. So both things end up coming true. Goku ends up being right about what they need to defeat Cell, but Piccolo ends up being right about Gohan's general attitude and who he is as a person, which is, it's really cool.
Which is funny because remember how when Gohan didn't fight Nappa, how upset Piccolo was? He's like, you disgust me. You're not a warrior. This is to me just shows the development of Piccolo and his bond to Gohan. Like, I like this.
Yeah.
You can't have Piccolo from the Saiyan arc or from the 23rd tournament behave the same as he does in this arc because they've been through a lot together. A lot has happened.
And it just reinforces and reflects the idea that Goku is looking at Gohan as an extension of himself, and that he's assuming that Gohan is basically just a little version of him, and that's just not the case.
Yeah, Goku is a unique character, and Toriyama himself realized that in the Buu arc when he thought it was better to write for Goku than for Gohan. Sleep says, don't forget, Cell really loves men as well. Yeah, well, that's true. All right. Crims says, appreciate the content and journey through the manga. Thank you, my friend. Quick question for both of you. Who do you think was a more impactful teacher for Gohan, Piccolo or Goku? This is an outstanding question, and it's also one that is somewhat difficult to answer because they both were very strong at different points in Gohan's life. What do you say?
I think that they are both absolutely necessary ingredients in Gohan being a successful martial artist. We don't really see that here in this arc because Gohan fails to embrace his nature as an Earthling once he becomes Super Saiyan 2. But Goku was very important in this arc in terms of helping Gohan retain his nature as an Earthling so he can transform into Super Saiyan 2. And Piccolo is very, very important in the sense that if Gohan would listen to what Piccolo was teaching him, Gohan could have controlled himself in this situation, but he wouldn't have done it using the pride of a martial artist like Goku. He would have done it using the pride of a warrior as Piccolo. So what Piccolo ends up, and we actually see this in Dragon Ball Super Superhero way later, whenever Gohan does control himself and he finally does fight as a warrior, not a martial artist, but as a warrior like Piccolo. Okay, what Gohan needs to control himself whenever he's enraged is the attitude that Piccolo has. This survival of the fittest attitude, where it's essentially kill or be killed. That's what Gohan needs in order to be productive, in order to control himself whenever he has these rage boosts, is the teachings of Piccolo himself. But in order to maintain that nature that he has as an Earthling, to be able to tap into this power, these huge bouts of power that he gets through rage, Goku's teachings were absolutely necessary for that. Without Goku helping Gohan retain his nature as an Earthling, Gohan is not capable of these huge power ups. So Goku is necessary in terms of helping Gohan retain his nature as an Earthling, but Piccolo is necessary in terms of helping Gohan be able to control himself and use his power productively whenever he has those rage boosts. So they're both very, 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 very important characters in terms of Gohan's development. And we don't really see that come full circle until Dragon Ball Super Superhero. But that's the entire point of that whole thing. Goku is basically instilling, the importance of Gohan's earthly nature in the Cell Saga, and then Piccolo instills the importance of his warrior attitude and his the approach that Piccolo takes in battle in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. And the combination of the two is what makes Gohan a successful fighter. It's those two things.
Yeah, it really is a difficult question because they're both so important. Everything you said makes perfect sense. It's difficult for me to pick one above the other, but I do have just one argument for why I'm going to pick. Okay, so Piccolo was the first one to bring out the fighter in Gohan, and he had to because they were up against the wall. They were about to face these two villains that were beyond anything. Piccolo felt they needed Gohan to at least know how to fight to give them a better chance of surviving. But then when Goku took Gohan, he took a fighter that Piccolo, I guess, I'm going to use a martial arts analogy. Goku took Gohan as a, let's say, a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and made him into a black belt. And that happens a lot in real life. Sometimes when you take martial arts, let's say that you take martial arts at a dojo and you get to a certain belt ranking, but your parents move to another city. You have to find a new dojo, a new instructor, and a lot of times they'll pick you up where you left off, or you have to start back at white again. Just depends on the school. So what I was saying was I think Goku really sharpened Gohan's fighting abilities without question. But I think Piccolo edges it out only because he was the one that took the initiative to train Gohan. And had Piccolo been the one to die and had Goku been the one to survive the Raditz fight, I don't think he would have involved Gohan.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. But I have a weird feeling that I don't think Goku would have involved Gohan.
Well, the reason, just one more thing about this. The reason that Piccolo's motivations as a warrior are more impactful to Gohan than Goku's motivations as a martial artist is because Gohan cares about the survival of life. Okay. So essentially what Gohan's doing is he's adopting the survival of the fittest mentality that Piccolo normally applies to himself in order to maintain himself and his own survival. And he's using it to help everyone. He's basically taking Piccolo's ideology of survival and he's flipping it on its face, and he's being like, well, you use that to protect yourself, or at least he used to prior to protecting Gohan. But I'm going to use that ideology to protect everyone because I care about everyone's survival. So that's the reason that Piccolo's motivations complement Gohan's character more than Goku's, is because at this point in the story, Gohan is not a martial artist. He does not like fighting. He does not care about it at all, but he does care about the survival of mankind. So that's where Piccolo's kind of got the edge on Goku.
And also the fact that Gohan is human. That's why the series later on, especially in the Super era, focused on Goku and Vegeta, because those are the guys that are still battle hungry. Gohan was never really battle hungry. He was forced into fighting because trouble knocked on his door. Literally in Superhero, they knock on his door to tell him that Pan's been kidnapped. But I say that figuratively usually. Sir William, I did not get a super chat from you. So I don't think it went through. Try again. So this debate here, even Goku starts to think, maybe I went too far. Now, I like that. I want to make it clear. I like the fact if Goku did not second guess himself here, yes, Goku still has confidence in Gohan. Yes, Goku still thinks Gohan's the only one. But what Piccolo said to him did resonate because Goku because Goku is still a father. Because ultimately, yes, Goku was right about Gohan. He was right about Gohan's secret power. But hearing that from Piccolo is like he's second guessing himself. And sometimes, no matter how confident you might be, you will hear something from someone and you start to second guess yourself. And that can work beneficially or not, depending on the situation. So Gohan's getting his ass kicked. Goku asks for a Senzu. He's ready to go in and save the kid. Let's see here. You're a persistent bastard. It looks like you won't get angry about your own pain. Then let me ask your friends what they think about it. And then Gohan's eyes open up. And then Cell goes in to attack them. And Gohan freaks out. Because now Gohan will take the punches. But now you're fucking with his loved ones. And that's ultimately where Gohan will change. Dragon Ball Chapter 406, 16 Secret Weapon. Here comes Cell. He goes right in and snatches the Senzu beans because he wants to make sure we're not going to get any freaking, energy boosts or anything. I would have never stooped so low that I would fight with these things, which is bullshit, bro. You're a low motherfucker. Come on now. And he's like, whatever it takes to see your power. Your friends will only suffer if you keep it bottled up inside. So now he realizes he's going to have to hurt Gohan's friends, hurt his friends and family, not hurt him physically. And Gohan comes in, Cell kicks him away. If you're going to get mad, go all out. Then here comes 16. He puts his arms around Cell in a very loving way. And they're like, how did he get there? He's an android. His key can't be detected. And he's like, no, forgive me for getting involved in all of this and for making you sacrifice your lives. I'm going to self-destruct alone with Cell. So he thinks blowing himself up will do it. This is my final power that I never should have been forced to use. No matter how strong you are, you can't survive a blast such close range. Cell freaks out for a minute. He thinks it's over, but he didn't blow up. So then Krillin is like, you can't blow up, bro. We got rid of the bomb.
The nuke in your... Yeah.
We took the bomb out. Now Cell's like, haha, blam. Destroys his body. Completely destroys his body. Now, I do like that 16 thought he could do something, but little did we know where this was going. You were always a failed creation of the good doctor. And then now they're like, well, shit, now what? So Cell starts to count how many people there are, and he starts taking little shits. Those little turds coming out of his ass. I mean, literally, bro. It's Toriyama literally shitting out. 16. Literally. There's poo coming out of his ass, all right?
Yeah, cells. Yeah, little cells.
And then here come the Cell Juniors. Go, my Cell Juniors. The 7 people up that hill are your targets. Show them hell. I do not care if you kill them. So now Cell sends, instead of him attacking them because he wants to be around Gohan, he has the Cell Juniors do it. And now everybody powers up to fight. Goku's like, they are very strong. You know, they may look small, but they are my kin. Chapter 401, 401, the hell of the Cell Juniors. Or was it 406? I don't know. Here come the Cell Juniors, right? This adapts Dragon Ball Z episode 184. Yeah. Cell Juniors fight everybody. They all are trying to fight. The Cell Juniors are just owning everyone, hurting them, having fun with them, toying with them. You know, Gohan talks about how Trunks is the only one that hasn't been brought back with the Dragon Ball. So if they die for good.
Yeah, this is a really realistic set of circumstances in terms of like Gohan's thought process in the middle of all this. It makes a lot of sense. If I was in this situation, realistically, I would be thinking the exact same thing. So he does a great job portraying that.
Sleep asks, do you think Cell can make adult Cell Juniors? What do you think about that?
No.
I think if he could, he would have.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, if he could, maybe it's one of those things where maybe it would be too much of a power drain. You know what I mean? Maybe there's a reason for it, but there's no evidence. Sir William, thank you for the super chat. He says, just wanted to show a little support. Love the channel. I'm a huge lore head. Not caught up, so I'm out. Is there a way to donate directly? Freak YouTube. Yes, there is. If you go to my my page on YouTube, I might pull it up for you here just to make your life easier. Give me a second here. And I appreciate that, by the way. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so check out my screen right here. It should be on the screen. Let me make sure it's on the screen. It is on the screen. So if you go here to more links, there's a PayPal donation link right there. That also goes to the rest of my, social media. But there's the PayPal link right there to donate. I appreciate it. And the content will continue, at least for the time being, on streams. There's not really much to talk about when it comes to like Super or Daima, because there's nothing going on with that now. But the streams will continue. Xavier then says, think if Cell used Kaioken, he could have won. You mean think if Cell used Kaioken? When though? Like against SS2 Gohan? Or like at what point are you talking about? What do you think about this, Jordan?
I think he's probably referring to the Kamehameha clash. And it's possible. In that scenario, it's very possible. If it was like post Super Perfect Cell, I think it's possible for sure.
I don't know. I feel like the Kaioken would have fucked up his body. Oh, he clarifies against Super Saiyan.
It probably would have fucked up his body, but if he just
he can regenerate.
Yeah, not just that, but if he just needed an extra boost to overpower Gohan's Kamehameha, it might work. I don't know.
That's what he's saying. But you know what? Like, okay, Xavier brings up a great point that maybe like here's the thing. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan didn't even unleash his true full power until Goku's like, let it out now. And that's when Gohan went all. So we didn't even see him at full power until then. Yeah. So that tells me that the gap between them was even wider than we thought. Yeah. I did a whole video about it. I think I called it Super Saiyan 2 Gohan Explained or something like that. Something to the effect of like it's oh god, I forgot the title of the video, but I did a video breaking all that down.
I remember, yeah.
There's a gap between them, but I don't know if Kaioken would have closed that gap. And I also think, and I say, well, if Cell could have done it, why didn't he?
Yeah, true that. I'm not sure if he could close either, but it's possible. I'm not going to say it's impossible.
Right. Okay. Then Mr. Gohan says, Gohan would lock in and take out Cell 110. Well, of course you would say that, bro. It's either Gohan or Miguel from Cobra Kai on your male fantasies list, bro. But Mr. Gohan may be right, though, in that the gap may be too big.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it really is massive. You're pushing 40, still doing Dragon Ball videos. Actually, I'm 41 now. And yes, I do Dragon Ball videos because making Dragon Ball videos made me a millionaire. So when you become a millionaire, then you can stop me from doing what I love to do and being a millionaire. I'm just saying. I got 7 figures from talking about Dragon Ball. So I'll be 41. I could be 51. I'm still going to be a millionaire. Sorry. Anyways, let's get back to this talking about we're too old to talk about Dragon Ball shit. So now Cell realizes that this is Gohan's weakness. Like now he realizes that he's onto something, and they're all fighting their hearts out. God bless them. They're doing the best that they can. They're fighting, right? Yamcha, I guess Yamcha broke his wrist right there. And Lord knows, without Bulma, Yamcha needs that wrist.
Oh, so that looks horrible. The way he drew that looks awful.
I don't remember him breaking his wrist in the anime.
Oh, it looks bad.
Yeah, it's bad. Vegeta is trying the best he can. It's not enough. Like, these things are stronger than even Vegeta. Kicks Tenshin Han away. Here we go. I'm sorry, everyone. It wasn't supposed to go like this. And because Goku realizes that maybe he bit off more than he can chew.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to die here. If I really had hidden powers to say I do, I've got to use them. I want to beat Cell, but how can I use this power? Gohan doesn't even know what to do. Like, he doesn't even know how to power up.
Yeah,
he doesn't even know.
He has to appeal to that empathy that causes him to have an emotional shock. And that's what 16 is about to help him with. Yeah.
We're getting super chats here. I was not expecting. Sleep says, I just hope the Cell Juniors don't end up like their father and become Diddy. Oh, you too, bro? Now we got to expect that from you too. So it ain't just Justin. It's also you. All right. Ginyu had Goku's body and couldn't do Kaioken. Cell can't. You do.
I mean, that's an assumption. That is
no. He's right. Ginyu couldn't do Kaioken.
No, I mean in Cell. I'm not talking about Ginyu.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where he got the idea that Cell couldn't do Kaioken.
Ginyu couldn't even do the Kamehameha, so that's not shocking at all. People are like going with this idea that like Cell had to learn Kaioken, like he couldn't like get it from DNA, but that doesn't make any sense. Like,
because he knows everything else.
Yeah, he knows things about people's personalities. You know, he knows all of these techniques. He even like learns instant transmission after seeing it one time. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Not just that, but also comparing Ginyu to Cell. Like, you're comparing the body change technique, which we know has major flaws when it comes to exchanging the minds, to an organism that was engineered by a super genius and a supercomputer. Those are not the same thing, man. Those are not the same thing. So, all right. Anyway, so now 16 does a very infamous scene. He's asking Mr. Satan to help. Now, again, people have made the argument that Mr. Satan is partially responsible for the heroes winning because he did chuck.
I mean, 16. He is. Indirectly.
Indirectly, he is. And in some ways, directly. Because if he didn't do this, they might be fucked. Everyone might be dead. They're getting their asses kicked.
Can you imagine a robot head being like, hey, man, take me to that kid who just his hair turned blonde, or no, never mind, he didn't transform to Super Saiyan. But I can just imagine like seeing him use like all of these abilities and shit, and having like some random robot head being like, "Hey, take me over to this kid so I can try to get him to power up or whatever. It's such a wacky set of circumstances.
Yeah. But we're gonna have to go through some of this when we get there, bro. He says, please stop this. He's begging him, and then now Cell is like, Cell Jr. is enough playing around. You can kill them if you want. Now Cell is turning the heat up. Now Cell is like, okay, now we really got to get this out. And little by little, Gohan is getting more and more angry. Here comes the head. Mr. Satan gave Gohan head. That's what happened, though. That's what happened. So, anyways, here comes the infamous speech. Now, do we have to explain why it is that 16's death was not the 16 and Gohan didn't really have a relationship? Do we have to explain like the speech and what it actually means to people?
I don't think we should. I mean, I already explained that like Gohan's like a empath in terms of his nature as an earthling. That should be obvious. Like he's got a universal compassion for life, and that's what 16 is appealing to. It should be pretty obvious.
Right, but here's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't like the idea that it was 16's death that triggered Gohan's transformation when 16 has no friendship with Gohan. I think people would have preferred if it was Goku or somebody else.
Did 16 have a friendship with the animals that he cared about? That he talked to, that he told Gohan that he wanted to save?
No, but that's not the point. The point they're making is Gohan has no reason to care about 16 because they don't have a connection. That's what the fandom says. People in the fandom say that. But it's not about Gohan caring about 16. It's about what 16 tells him. 16 tells him not just the thing about the animals in nature. Gohan is seeing his family and friends get demolished and they're about to die. When you take that with what 16 is saying, there's two things going on here at once. 16 basically was explaining to Gohan, look, I understand you don't like to fight. I understand you don't like being angry, but you have to do something or it's all over for the animals, the birds, and your family.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, especially for people who have particularly watched the Dragon Ball Z anime, there's literally like all kinds of episodes where they really hammer home just how easy it is for Gohan to have connection to any life. As a matter of fact, there's a whole filler episode where he gets attached to a robot that's like buried underneath the ground that like he doesn't know anything about that robot. He just has a natural empathy for life as a whole. Like he has a natural universal empathy for all life. And it doesn't matter that he doesn't know 16. The fact that 16 is the polar opposite of Cell in every way in terms of his love and consideration for life would totally speak to Gohan. It's almost like he's seeing Cell metaphorically crush his ideals right in front of him.
Right. And also the English dub that completely ruined this scene. I don't care the nostalgia you have. I don't give a fuck how much you like Nadolny. Nadolny's my IRL friend. And we've talked about this. The script is horrible because they add in lines where Gohan is acknowledging 16. Oh, you love life and now you died. When it's not about Gohan's connection to 16. It's about Gohan's connection to what 16 is saying. Does that? Yeah, that's what it is. It's not about that. That's why if you see the Japanese scene, which even a lot of dub fans have seen, because everybody knows this scene.
Yeah,
Gohan doesn't say anything. The bird chirps and he transforms.
Yeah.
After Cell steps on him. This is very gruesome in the manga, bro. This is more gruesome in the manga than the anime. I mean, look at him.
Yeah, it's very similar to whenever 17 crushed Garo's head. But, okay, so one more thing I want to talk about before we move on. I want to talk about the many references that Toriyama is simultaneously making here, because he's making a shit ton.
You want me
Okay.
to talk about it here in this panel?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
So,
go for it.
so 16 being a android who develops or has a love for all life is a Terminator reference because at the end of Terminator 2, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character develops empathy for all human life. So,
And John Connor grows an attachment to the T-800 because he's
yeah,
crying when he puts himself in
yes,
the
this is a
lava.
direct Terminator reference. It is super freaking cool. It's underrated. A lot of people don't understand this, but this is a very direct, awesome Terminator 2 reference. Okay. Now, also, Gohan, the speech that 16 gives Gohan about using your anger as a weapon is also pretty much verbatim the exact same speech that Bruce Lee gives all of his students in Enter the Dragon. He talks about how you're supposed to not lose yourself to your anger, but use it as a weapon in order to protect yourself and others. And that is what Toriyama, you got to remember, Dragon Ball is named after Bruce Lee. So he's also referencing that lesson that Bruce Lee taught in his movies that anger is meant to be channeled as a weapon for justice and not something that you lose yourself to. So that's another really cool reference that Toriyama is making here. But the third, and of course my favorite reference, is the Journey to the West stuff. Because Gohan is basically a reflection of the lesson that Sun Wukong had to learn. Sun Wukong at the beginning of his story was like this murderous rampage. Basically, what you're getting ready to see from Gohan when he turns into Super Saiyan 2, that's who Wukong was at the beginning of his story. He was an angry, ruthless, merciless killer who did not give a shit about anybody else. He just enjoyed violence. He enjoyed destroying things. And what you're seeing here is what Sun Wukong became at the end of the story when he developed empathy for all life and learned to channel his anger as a weapon as a Buddhist martial artist. So Toriyama is like making like freaking so many references at once here that it's like actually insane. I just wanted to point that out because I just think that's awesome and it's something that people overlook about this section of the arc. So
I think this is a great scene. It's my favorite scene in the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. It's the anime, I mean, and it's my favorite transformation in Dragon Ball Z. But of course, we're talking about the original manga here. Still emotional. Dragon Ball Z adds the insert song Day of Destiny, Spirit versus Spirit, which adds to the emotion. But because of that, every time that I see this scene, I think of that because it became so iconic. I mean, that's people always point to Goku Super Saiyan on Frieza being iconic. This one's just as iconic, if you ask me, I think.
yeah.
So Justin says, oh my God, Cell killed Arnie, you bastard. Old school South Park reference. Sleep says, I can't believe he crushed his head. I just hope his balls aren't next. Well, his balls got blown off already. Now, here's the question. When Bulma was operating on him, did she look at his balls? Did she stare at his balls and say, man,
Probably.
those are some big mechanical balls? Does he even need balls? I don't think he needs balls, bro.
No.
He has no dick like a lot of people. So the point is that it's not about Gohan's connection to 16. It's about Gohan 16 appealing to Gohan's emotion and telling him, it's all right. I know you don't want to do this, but you have to do it. Yeah. And then there's the fucking. I mean, in the manga, it's just one shot. In the anime, it takes its time. I love it, though. And the art is amazing.
Yeah. This is a pacifist justification for using violence. 16 is literally like describing to you the philosophy of martial arts. Like a lot of people don't realize this, but what he is teaching Gohan here is the actual philosophy of martial arts, which is sometimes violence is necessary for the sake of peace.
Which is what Bruce Lee teaches. And martial arts is about that. It's about defending yourself, but you're defending yourself because you ultimately want peace.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not about being a bully. So Gohan explodes. Cell is in shock. Everybody looks over at him. And chapter 408, Son Gohan explodes, which, by the way, the precious dub during his battles with Captain Ginyu, the Frieza, and the androids, he always had a secret. Just on and on and on, talking. In the Japanese version, he explodes, and the narrator says, finally, Gohan explodes. That's it. You want to know why? Because in Japan, they don't think that their kids are stupid like what Funimation thought that our kids were. Remember, Jordan, American kids are stupid and dumb and can't understand context. Then again, after doing this stream, maybe they had a point. But I'm saying, like, it's pretty insulting. So now we have SS2 Gohan. Now, I've said this before. This form is not called Super Saiyan 2 at this point. We know, based on a pamphlet that came out, that at the time, the form was called Super Saiyan Grade 5. That was the original name of this form. It's not called that in the manga. This is from a pamphlet. However, when Goku confronts Majin Buu several chapters later, that's when he refers to it as Super Saiyan 2 for the first time. Before that, if you didn't read that pamphlet, you wouldn't even have a name for this.
Right.
Like, we didn't have a name for it. Can you imagine being in Japan and reading this like weekly and not even knowing what would they call it? Like Ultimate Gohan, maybe Super Gohan, like Full Power Go. Like, what would you even call it? Super Saiyan 1.5? I don't know about that. Maybe.
Ultra Gohan 1.
Yeah, Ultra Gohan 1. There you go. All right, so here's the infamous panel. Gohan looks amazing. I mean, the hair, the lightning effects, just you can tell he's changed. You will all pay for your sins. See, now we're talking about sins. Earlier about Goku having sins. No, Cell has sinned. Cell is the one picking this fight.
Yep.
He walks up to Cell calmly. Cell doesn't know how to react. He snatches away the Senzu. Cell is over here being cocky. Gohan was so fast that Cell couldn't do a damn thing. Damn, you took the Senzu. And then Gohan says, okay, time to die. Now, before we get to these next few panels, I want to let you know that Gohan killing the Cell Juniors in the manga is so much more gruesome than in the anime. Toriyama really pulled out the violence to where even in Z, they toned it down. Even in Z, they held back.
Yeah, and think about how different Gohan's approach is to fighting the Cell Juniors to how his approach was to Cell literally just minutes ago. When he was like, I don't want to fight you at all. You know, I don't want to kill you. And now all of a sudden he's just brutally wiping away all these Cell Juniors like it's nothing. It really shows you, like, you know, how different Gohan is in this form.
Now he gives no fucks.
Yeah.
Don Hoop says, had a friend who wanted to be just like Goku so bad, he let go of his basketball dreams and honed in on his passion of wanting to be Goku. Haven't heard from him since he moved to Japan. Well, I hope you do hear from your friend at some point, because that sucks. But you know what? If he really does love Goku, he will love Japan. I assure you, if he's not being an idiot, fucking around with the Yakuza or getting himself locked up or something, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, you will love Japan. Even if Dragon Ball's your only thing you like Japanese, you will love Japan. So he's probably doing all right, but I hope you get in contact with him again. Now Gohan's going in for the kill. Look at this, bro. When I first saw this after the anime version, I thought that there was an uncensored version of this that only aired in Japan that showed the eyeballs and the brains. That's how much of a fool I was. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is there another uncut version? I was wrong. There's not. For the anime, I mean. But the manga is so like, are you seeing this, bro?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
It's not just
brutal.
It's not brutal. Just a clean chop, bro. It's like there's slime and brain matter and all types of shit, bro. Fucking decapitated this motherfucker. We're almost done, by the way.
Cool.
They're all freaked out. Cell Juniors come in to attack. And yes, before anybody says it, the anime, he did kill 8 Cell Juniors. That is true. We got an extra kill for the Z version. The Kai version changed it. And it was a little bit different than the way he killed them, like the order and how he did it, but still good nonetheless. So one comes in, Gohan kicks this one in half, knocks. I mean, look at this, bro.
Yeah, dude, he's just one-shotting them all. It's awesome.
Eyeballs flying everywhere. I mean, this, I think if they did do a remake of Dragon Ball, like from the ground up, I think Gohan smashing these motherfuckers would be just one big scene. It wouldn't be the whole episode and Gohan's going slow. I think if you were to readapt,
yes, that would be. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, dude.
You get what I'm saying, right? Like bam, 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 like one scene, bam, 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 done.
That's teasing me with the idea of that. I would love to see that, dude. That's awesome.
But Jordan, that's how it is in the manga. In the anime, he's like does this shit, and the Cell Junior has Krillin, and he's like put him down, and then he throws the bag up, and he's like taking his time. But in the manga version, no, he ain't taking his time, bro.
Nah, he just destroys them, bro.
He's just annihilating motherfuckers. Sleep says, my generation has a lot of idiots, but most of them understand the OKOT. OCOT? I don't know what that means. More than Toei. Proofread your super chats, please. What does OKOT mean? So I think that Toei was just being babies for being bullied, so they picked on us and made a crap dub. First of all, Sleep, Toei didn't make the dub. Funimation made the dub. Second of all, they weren't making the dub to bully kids. They were making the dub kidified to censor it because they think that kids are stupid. You're very misinformed, bro.
Yeah, money, bro.
Misinformed.
They're like, oh, we want mindless entertainment for children so we can make cash. That's what
Toei had nothing to do with the dub, homie. I'm surprised that you didn't know that. Like Funimation, you need to join us on our Saturday streams, bro. We talk about this. Funimation, Barry Watson, Gen Fukunaga, they're the guys that chose to dumb down Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
They're the ones who chose that, not Toei. So they fucked up. So Gohan's over here smashing. Look at this, bro. Kicks another one in half. I mean, this was not in the anime. There's a part where he kicks the head off of one, but actually kicking one in half like this, bro, like incredible. And then he freaks out. He tries to get away. Gohan sees him, pimp smacks his ass. In the anime, he slaps him. He bounces off the ground, then Gohan kicks him. In this version, Gohan just chops him into pieces. So again, the anime and manga versions of the Cell Juniors getting smoked is totally different.
Yeah.
Cell is officially traumatized from seeing this. They're shocked. They're like, oh my God, is that really Gohan? And now Goku is like, hey, I told you I was right, motherfucker. And then the last page, he gives the Senzu back to the good guys, to Krillin. And then he faces Cell And then Vegeta has the last line of the volume saying, I can't believe this is happening. So now we go into volume 35 with Gohan versus Cell, the final battle. And it begins now. A lot of things are going to happen. What do you think, bro? Very eventful chapter for a historic story, both anime and manga. I mean, what more can be said?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Cell Saga, man. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, a lot of people kind of don't appreciate it that much. Some people, it's their favorite arc, but to me, like it's to me a reflection of all of the work that Toriyama put into Gohan's character, particularly since the beginning of Dragon Ball Z when he was introduced, or you know, this section of Dragon Ball. It's a culmination of everything that he was trying to do with Gohan's character, and of course, Superhero is also an extension of that. But I appreciate the Cell Saga particularly for that. So
Yeah, I feel like the Cell Saga is lacking in consistency, but it makes up for it in that the highs are really high. And at this point where we are, like we're at the climax, right? This is where the highs are at its highest. Like,
yeah,
these are some of my favorite chapters and some of my favorite episodes of the anime. Like, you know what I mean? Like, from this point, what we read today from the Goku, all of the Cell game, from the Goku fight all the way to Gohan, all the way to Trunks going back to the future, I think is just tippy top, some of the best Dragon Ball ever. And we're going to talk more about that next week or next time we stream, because we recently found out that Toriyama was burnt out by this point. And we're going to get into that next time. So the last volume is coming, brother. And it should be a good one because we get to see some real wreckage from this motherfucking kid.
yep. Anyway, it was great having you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us for the Mangalorian, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yes, thank you. And if you missed any of the previous editions, there aren't on the playlist on the channel. Just go to the Mangalorian. We've covered every manga chapter, starting with volume 1 all the way to volume 34. Then we'll do 35. 42 is the end. And then we might do a couple of bonus episodes. But like I said, we're covering the entirety of the original manga, Toriyama's intended work, aka the real canon. This is the real canon. Sorry, but it is. I'm out. Take care.